Welcome to this rapid revision session on the Exodusters. But who were they? The Exoduster movement, 1879, or at least that's when it started, but to understand the movement we need to go back a little bit further. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln freed enslaved Americans all across the United States. The problem was that there was a civil war on, and it was only in 1865 that the Civil War ended and enslaved people in the South were freed too. After all, the Confederacy had split away from the Union, causing the war over the issue of slavery. But by 1879, former slaves were little better off. They were often still in their slave shacks, working for their former masters and owners, with little freedom or dignity. However, the promise of land and farms in Kansas led to an exodus west, and that's where the first part of the Exoduster movement comes from. Benjamin Pap Singleton, pictured in the top right there, set up a settlement in Kansas in 1873 under the Homestead Act and saw an opportunity to welcome more black Americans there for a new life. He advertised in southern newspapers, and such an advert can be seen in the below right, and by 1879 a mass exodus of black Americans was ready. A false rumour of free land in Kansas drove 40,000 former enslaved people headed for Kansas. However, though there wasn't free land, there was cheap land. Remember that under the Homestead Act, which people could claim under, a $10 administration fee would get you 160 acres of land which you could keep for good as long as you were able to farm on the harsh plains conditions for 5 years. And that's where the duster part of the movement comes in. The migrants became known as the Exodusters, after the Exodus by Moses and his people in the Bible, who, remember, were Jewish slaves in the Bible, and the dusty conditions in the West. This was a religious motivation to move as well. They felt that they were echoing what the people of Moses had done in the Bible. Singleton had declared, "I am the whole cause of the Kansas immigration." A grand statement, but it's an oversimplification. Other people, such as Henry Adams, also promoted migration. Others believed in a return to ancestral Africa and the establishment of the country of Liberia. The Civil War also created the conditions for former enslaved people to move too. There was already a lot of upheaval. Kansas had joined the Union in 1861 as a free state. Its anti-slavery history made it an attractive home for these people. And although the land wasn't free, it was cheap. Singleton's scheme only cost $5, and the $10 administration fee could secure land under the Homestead Act. So what was the impact of the Exodusters? Firstly, it had an impact on black Americans. The best land had already been taken, and many Exodusters struggled to make ends meet. This was made worse by the false claim that land would be free. Charities had to step in to help them. There was also a response from white Americans. The southern states hugely opposed the Exodusters and demanded their return. White settlers in Kansas resented the government helping the Exodusters, but not them. The response from the Kansas government. Many Exodusters arrived sick with yellow fever. The government stepped in to provide funding and support to help them get started and to recover. And the impact on settlement. By 1880, there were over 41,000 black settlers in Kansas, founding the settlements such as Nicodemus. By the end of the movement, though, and by the 1890s, the stream of Exodusters had declined as the hard realities of homestead life filtered back to the South. That said, the Exodusters were better off than they would have been had they not left the South, and smaller Exoduster movements occurred to Nebraska and Oklahoma too in the late 1880s. Some final points. The end of slavery and the Civil War had not hugely improved the lives of freed people. Former slaves were still often living on the same plantations that they had lived on whilst they had been enslaved. Benjamin Singleton encouraged immigration to Kansas, seeing this as an attractive new life for formerly enslaved people. Spurred on by false rumours of free land, a desire for a better life, and by the support of charities and the Kansas government, over 41,000 black Americans moved to Kansas. Life was better there, but it was still very hard. This was an exodus to a dusty place where farming and making ends meet was not easy. They were Exodusters. I hope that video has been useful to you. If it has, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you've got another bit of content that you want me to do a video on, then please pop it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. But for now, thanks and goodbye.